Welcome, crypto fam, to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest technical analysis as Bitcoin gains $1,200 in 1 hour as the Bitcoin price rebounds on Ethereum ETF launch, which is officially today. We'll also be discussing BlackRock Bitcoin ETF records the biggest inflow day since March at $523 million. That's right, over $500 million worth of ETF volume just yesterday. We'll also be discussing breaking news. Trump says Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink will not be Treasury Secretary. It don't get much more good news than that because nobody wants Jamie Dimon or Larry Fink as Treasury Secretary of the United States, but I digress. We'll also be discussing the trader that called the May 2021 collapse, says Bitcoin may be following a parabolic path to $100,000 per coin if history repeats. I'll be breaking down this technical analysis from Dave the Wave. We'll also be discussing Trump's claims about El Salvador and President Bukele debunked. That's right. And we'll also be discussing the latest from Max Keiser. He predicts Bitcoin is going to 5 million per coin with or without the US, with or without Donald Trump making a big announcement this week in Nashville. We'll also be discussing CNBC. Asset manager says Trump admin may make the Bitcoin strategic reserve asset announcement, as I've been covering here on the show. We're also going to be discussing a new dawn of independence for El Salvador. Stacey Herbert and Max Keiser's vision for Bitcoin country. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to the channel, very important, smash the likes and subscribe. Then hit the bell icon to turn on all notifications. Also, be sure to repost this stream over on X, as we are streaming on 3 platforms: X, Rumble, and YouTube. And everyone who reposts this live stream is going to get reposted. Just be sure to put a quote, and I will also be sure to follow you over on X. So it's a win-win-win. But anyways, fam, today is pod episode number 1709. I'm your host, JV. It's July 23rd, 2024. Lots happening in the market as Bitcoin is correcting some since yesterday. Clearly, we did tap 68,500 as a local high just the other day, and today we're just above $65,600. And checking out Coin 360, we can see Bitcoin down 3.25% on the daily. We have Ether down about 1%, hovering still above 3,400. Solana is the big loser on the day, along with Cardano, while XRP, AVAX, and the majority of the alts are correcting and in the red. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com, we're sitting at a 2.39 trillion market cap. We have about 88 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And checking out the top 100 gainers for the past 24 hours, we have ENS, we have HNT, and ARB, but very modest gains as the majority of the market's correcting and in the red right now. Checking out crypto bubbles on the daily, safe to say about 90% of the market correcting and in the red. And zooming out on the monthly for a more broader perspective, I'd say maybe 70% in the green, 30% in the red. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index today, we're a 71 greed, yesterday a 70, last week a 65, and last month a 55 in greed. So there you have it, crypto fam. Where do you feel the price action will likely take us? I was kind of anticipating a sell the news event on this Ethereum ETF because that's precisely what happened with the Bitcoin ETF back on January 11th when it went live, but we'll see. But anyways, we're going to dive right into today's Bitcoin technical analysis. Check out some of the charts because Bitcoin has been correcting here. As you can see, we're down 2,300 on the daily after tapping 68 just the other day. So let's break down the latest technical analysis, and I'll also be pulling up some of the live charts. So yeah, we did gain $1,200 in an hour as the price rebounded on the Ether ETF launch, but we have been going back down, as you can see. Here's the 1 hour chart. Bitcoin bulls fought to protect 66,000 today, July 23rd, as the US spot Ether ETF wowed analysts. Oh, that's right. Data from TradingView showed Bitcoin price strength rebounding after initial weakness in the Wall Street Open. The launch of trading for the spot Ether ETFs appeared to catch market participants by surprise, as impressive volumes, which totaled over 100 million in just 15 minutes, sent ETH up 2.3%, retracing an initial rout. Quoting analyst Scoo here, spot ETF launch so far, seeing the expected take profit selling in both perps and spot, move retrace, and open interest still elevated, referring to the heightened open interest on the ETH derivatives market around the launch. And quoting analyst Mikhail Van de Pop, the ETH ETF has insane numbers. First 15 minutes, already 50% of the Bitcoin's first day in terms of volume, 112 million. Yeah, that is pretty impressive, actually. The Ethereum ETF launch is heavily undervalued, and I expect it to trade towards an all-time high in the coming 1 to 2 months. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me, Calvin A. Pop, that Ether will break out to new all-time high within the next 60 days. And we also have Dan Crypto Trades, who shared the initial flows is decent, predicting heightened crypto market volatility, which is a given. And I've been preaching expect extreme volatility in the markets post-halving, also leading up to the halving, which is precisely what we have been witnessing. Meanwhile, Bitcoin retraced an initial down move of its own, retaking 67,000. CoinGlass showed a new patch of buyer liquidity, emerging at 65,750, while overhead sell-side pressure also increased. Now, as anticipation of the fresh upside built, traders remain broadly optimistic, such as Max here. Bitcoin is forming a descending broadening wedge near its previous all-time high. Probably nothing. And 5-month candles to turn the previous cycle highs into support, according to analyst Jelly, who also shared strong foundations are being built for the next bear market lows. The best is yet to come. And in the latest bulletin to Telegram channel subscribers, QCP Capital said the crypto markets nonetheless remained in wait-and-see mode following the latest ETH ETF launch, quoting them here. The market's reaction to the eSpot ETF launch has been muted, with investors waiting to see if it follows the buy the hype, sell the news pattern. For comparison, Bitcoin dropped to 38,000 after its ETF launch highs, but broke all-time highs 2 months later. So keep that in mind, when Bitcoin first launched the ETFs back in January, I believe it was on January 11th, the exact date, Bitcoin dropped. It ended up being a sell the news event. We tapped 38,000 before breaking out to new all-time highs within 2 months. So that could also be a scenario here with Ethereum. Now, QCP warned that judging by option market behavior, traders expect downside forces to win in the short term. These took the form of fresh payouts to the creditors, a defunct exchange Mt. Gox, as well as the geopolitical uncertainty, quoting them here, with the eSpot ETF potentially not impacting prices on the outset, coupled with potential selling pressure from the U.S. government and Mt. Gox, prices may remain subdued until momentum builds up, leading to the elections, which we all know is around the corner, November family. And we also have a big week with Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference in a few days on the 27th. But now let's pull up some of the live charts. Here we're looking at the 1-hour chart, and then we'll gracefully zoom out. They say when in doubt, just zoom out. So yeah, here you can see we're trading at roughly 65,700 at the time of the live stream. We're going to zoom out, and I'll show you whatever formations that we can see here with the TA. And yes, this is live and in the flesh, brought to you by TradingView via Coinbase, which is what I'm using right now. So yeah, here you're looking at the 4-hour chart. We did have a big red candle, which just took us back down in the 65,000 range, but we are bouncing. We do have a green forming, which is cool. And zooming out a little more, we'll check out the 1-day chart. You can see here we had 2 red candles for the past couple of days, but before that we had 3 consecutive green candles with one pretty significant, and before that we had a corrective red followed by some very significant green candles, which has taken us to more recent highs, tapping 68.5, which is the high for the past 30 days at least. And checking out the 1 week, I believe this is going to look very bullish. The 1 week always is. Yeah, look at these targets. I think this is the cup and handle. Yep. Sitting at 126,000, you can see a bullish flag formation breakout on the King Crypto. If you'd love to see Bitcoin smash 126 Gs and for this formation to play out, repost the stream and let me know. And like I said, I'll repost everyone who reposts the stream with a quote over on X. Let's get as many eyeballs as we can on today's stream. The goal is 4,000, family. Now let's zoom out on the monthly. As you can see here, we did have 7 green consecutive monthly closes, which is good. But then we had a corrective red, followed by a green, followed by a red. And it looks like this month of July will close green, but we have soon to tell, as we have another week left yet to finish the month of July. But there you have it, my crypto fam. Let me know if you are currently bullish for the rest of the month. Let's now dive into the fact BlackRock had over $500 million worth of inflows into the ETFs yesterday. It's pretty mind-boggling, right? Check this out. BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF has notched its biggest day of inflows in over 4 months, with over 523 million entering the fund on Monday. Nothing to see here, guys. IBIT scooped up 7,759 biddies on July 22nd, worth over 523 million. And according to Hey Apollo, data cited by its co-founder in a July 23rd post, the July 22nd inflow brings the total assets under management for IBIT to 333,000 Bitcoin, worth around $22 billion. Mind-boggling. It marks the 7th largest day of record for inflows into IBIT in the United States dollar. IBIT witnessed its largest single day of inflows March 18th when 849 million where the Bitcoin was added to the fund. The second largest day on record occurred March 5th when the fund saw 788 million in inflows, according to Farside Invested Data. And I'm sure BlackRock is thanking Germany's government. Like, thank you, Germany. I appreciate the cheap biddies. The large inflows to BlackRock's fund came on the same day that a roster of spot Ether ETFs were approved for trading in the U.S. Industry analysts expect the spot Ether ETFs to generate 10 to 20% of the flows that spot Bitcoin ETFs have generated since they launched in January. Meanwhile, several analysts share that Bitcoin is bullish on the short term. They cite U.S. President Biden's last-minute dropout from the presidential race and Trump's heightened odds of an election victory as strong upside catalysts for the Bitcoin price. We also have 10x Research founder Marcus Thielen speculated there was a solid chance Republican Party nominee Trump could make a surprise announcement that he would make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset at the upcoming Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee, which begins on July 25th, but I believe Trump will be speaking on the final day on July 27th. And of course, we're going to be covering this in more detail later on in the show with the latest of what's happening surrounding this. Thielen said it could trigger a parabolic move for the price of Bitcoin in the coming weeks. And I absolutely agree. Obviously, if Trump did make a big announcement like that, it would cause like a frenzy amongst nation states around the world to be adopting Bitcoin as the game theory continues to play out. And I think it would also surge the Bitcoin price as a result. Let me know your thoughts. Also, Brian Korshanen, founder of crypto asset management firm Diem, echoed this prediction July 22nd, saying there was a good possibility of Trump enshrining Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset at the conference. But let's not forget the first one to break that story was Max Keiser, and the first podcaster to cover it was your boy right here, JV, as I've been covering since last week when it was officially announced. Next story of the day, let's discuss the latest with Trump confirming that both Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink will not be Treasury Secretary if he is elected, which is good news. I don't think none of us want to see Jamie Dimon alongside Trump because he is the biggest scandalous mofo in the banking industry, and we all know that, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. So yeah, Republican presidential candidate Trump squashed reports suggesting he may consider appointing JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon or BlackRock CEO Mr. Lawrence Fink as Secretary of the Treasury if reelected. In a July 23rd post on Truth Social, Trump said neither Dimon nor BlackRock CEO Larry Fink were a part of his plans for a potential cabinet if he were victorious in November. He seemed to contradict an exclusive report released by July 16th by Bloomberg, whose team sat down with Trump in June. Quoting them here, "I don't know who said it or where it came from, but I never discussed or thought of Jamie Dimon or Larry Fink for Secretary of the Treasury," according to Trump. And I'm happy to hear this. Bloomberg reported that Trump had said he would consider Dimon as Secretary of the Department of the Treasury. So what does this mean? Bloomberg is printing fake news. I repeat, Bloomberg is printing fake news. How dare you? Now, the publication said that Trump reportedly prefers, before other news outlets, the New York Post reporting the Republican nominee was considering Fink for the same position. Fake news, New York Post, Bloomberg, fake news. So there you go. I mean, there you have it. I mean, at least according to Trump, we won't see Jamie Dimon along his side. Good, because I don't think any of us would want to see Jamie Dimon. In fact, when I think of Jamie Dimon, I just think of this one song.
Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, criminals, drug traffickers.
Oops, I don't want to play too long of a clip here. But yeah, shout out Jamie Dimon, keeping it 100. But anyways, fam, we'll continue with our next story of the day because we do got a lot to cover. We discuss Trump destroying the rumors of electing Fink or Jamie Dimon as Secretary of the Treasury. Now let's discuss this $110,000 target, according to crypto analysts. I believe it's Dave the Wave. Headline reads, trader that called the May 2021 collapse says Bitcoin may be following the parabolic path to 100,000 if history repeats. Yeah, so we're talking about the trader for making the timely crypto market calls, believing Bitcoin has the potential to reach six figures much sooner than most believe. And yes, that is correct. It's Dave the Wave. He shared on X that based on historical precedents, Bitcoin could soar 85% from the local market bottom to reach 100 Gs. He believes that Bitcoin could be repeating a similar pattern from earlier this year when it corrected and then soared about 85%, reaching a new all-time high. Here's the actual tweet. If Bitcoin made a similar move to the recent one, looking at the price knocking on the door of $100,000 per biddy. 100 Gs per biddy. Sound good to me? Send it. The analysts also suggest that Bitcoin is in an uptrend after convincingly breaking out from a descending triangle. Quoting him here, that's some solid price action. BTC, amen. Now, Dave the Wave earlier said in the month that Bitcoin's recent correction into the 50,000 range could be beneficial for the King Crypto, positioning it to rally by 400% towards his bull market target of $220,000 per Bitcoin by the end of 2025. Quoting him here, short-term Bitcoin pain, long-term gain. That's right. Hence, hodl be thy name. Let me know if you agree that we can see a $220,000 biddy by 2025, potentially Bitcoin soaring 400%. I personally feel very doable. In fact, my bear scenario for the peak cycle, which I believe will occur in 2025 as well, is roughly this price. I say 222,000. And I believe the bull scenario would be more like 750,000, and somewhere likely in between is where we're likely to land. But take anything I say with a grain of salt. This is not investment advice. Everything you hear on this stream is for entertainment purposes only. The analyst also says that gold appears to be heading for its all-time high target price of $2,750. I'm sure Peter Schiff must be ecstatic. Quoting him here, all-time highs in gold, old chart, on target. Now, what has more upside potential? Bitcoin hitting 220,000 according to the analysts in 2025 from where we're at what are we at, 65 today? Or gold going up a few $100s? Clearly, Bitcoin has more upside potential, but I digress. Let me know your thoughts, family, and do you agree with Dave the Wave? And do you think we're looking to make a big move to $100,000 per Bitcoin here sooner than later? Holla at your boy. And thank you. Jason Buck just gifted 5 memberships to the channel. So congratulations, Dusty Hunt, Mr. Boot, Michael McCool, Josh Rodriguez, and Great U.S. Treasury Hunt. You've all been hooked up with the MicroStrategy membership of the channel on behalf of Jason Buck. So it pays to be in the chat on the YouTube during the stream. That goes to the 1,100 people who are streaming this over on X right now. You got to be on YouTube to interact in the chat. My direct YouTube link is cryptonewsalerts.net, and you may get hooked up and blessed with a free membership because our community is incredible and they love gifting memberships, in which they typically do each and every day. But anyways, next story of the day. We just broke down the 110,000 target. Let's discuss the Trump-Bukele saga, which has been going on for the past week. And then we'll dive into a $5 million price prediction from the one and only high priest of Bitcoin, Max Keiser, and also going to be sharing some other very fascinating stories surrounding that as well. Welcome those just joining the stream. Here we go. Trump's claims about El Salvador and President Bukele debunked. That's right. So former U.S. President and current presidential candidate Trump claimed during his speech at the Republican National Convention on Thursday, El Salvador's significant decrease in murders was because the country has sent its criminals to the U.S. Quoting them here, in El Salvador, murders are down 70%. Why are they down? Now, we could have you convinced that's because he trained murderers to be wonderful people. No, they're down because they're sending their murderers to the United States of America. This is going to be very bad, and bad things are going to happen. And again, this is quoting Trump just a few days ago. Now, PBS fact-checked the former president's claims and concluded it was false. The reduction in homicides recorded by El Salvador's National Police is attributed to Salvadoran President Bukele's stringent anti-crime measures, the public broadcaster stated. El Salvador's President Bukele has aggressively cracked down on crime. There is no evidence that Bukele's effort involves sending prisoners to the U.S. El Salvador has been under a state of emergency because of gang violence and high crime rates since March of 2022. And on July 10th, the Legislative Assembly voted to extend its use, according to the PBS. Now, Trump asserted that Salvadoran President Bukele is sending all of his criminals, his drug dealers, his people that are in jails to the United States. PBS reported that El Salvador's prison population has drastically increased in recent years, according to Insight Crime, a think tank focused on crime and security in the Americas. In 2020, El Salvador's prison population was about 37,000, and by 2023, it had risen to more than 105,000, approximately 1.7% of the country's population. And following the Trump speech, Bukele shared on X, "taking the high road," meaning he didn't even have a response to Trump. Now, El Salvador and its President Bukele have gained popularity amongst Bitcoin supporters as the country was the first to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender. El Salvador is also engaged in daily Bitcoin purchases, Bitcoin mining, as well as various Bitcoin initiatives. Bitcoin proponent Max Keiser, who assists El Salvador with various Bitcoin initiatives, commented on the Trump speech on X, saying Trump is wrong. His wife Stacy, the director of the National Bitcoin Office of El Salvador, shared the following: "Trump needs to fire his speechwriter." Now, Castle Island Ventures' Nick Carter commented, "Trump is just wrong on this. No shame in admitting that. What Bukele did definitely stemmed the flow of MS-13 into the U.S. Meanwhile, Trump has pledged to be a crypto president, vowing to end Joe Biden's anti-crypto policies, supporting Bitcoin mining, and prevent the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency. He stated, if we don't do it, China is going to pick up, and China is going to have it, or somebody else, but most likely China." So there you have it, crypto fam. Let me know your thoughts surrounding this and how do you think this will play out. Now for our featured story of the day. We have Max Keiser, who recently tweeted, "Bitcoin's going to $5 million with or without the United States." Now, Max was the first one to break the story that there could be a huge announcement at this Bitcoin conference in Nashville in a few days because Trump is going to be a big speaker, and Trump may make the announcement if he is elected president for the United States to adopt Bitcoin as some form of strategic reserve asset, maybe for the treasury. There's a lot of different, theories or rumors circulating, but Max was the first one. And now just the other day, CNBC is sharing the same story. Forbes is sharing the same story, but you heard it here first. I was the first podcaster to cover that. But anyways, Max more recently shared this after Trump said some negative things about Bukele, which are not true. He says, "I doubt the U.S. has the brains to add Bitcoin to the reserves. Jealous Donald is no President Bukele. Bitcoin's going to 5 million with or without the U.S. Now, as I just shared, we also have asset manager that was on CNBC yesterday, also making this prediction that the Trump administration may make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. And I also want to read to you the latest with Stacy and Max and their vision for Bitcoin country and the new dawn of independence for El Salvador. So I have a lot to cover here, and let's dive right in, starting with this story right here. So check this out. Asset manager Brian Korshnies appeared on CNBC yesterday to discuss Bitcoin's potential to become a strategic reserve asset of the U.S. government under a future Trump administration. According to the asset manager, adopting Bitcoin as a reserve asset would be difficult, but not impossible. He pointed to the Department of Justice vast holdings at 200,000 Bitcoin. Keep in mind right now, BlackRock has 333,000 Bitcoin. They started accumulating since the ETFs went live on January 11th. It took them 6 months. The U.S. government has over 200,000 Bitty just from confiscation. So not like they don't have access to Bitcoin, right? Now, he explained the Department of Justice could simply transfer the Bitcoin to the United States Department of Treasury, paving the way for the Treasury to begin accumulating and holding the scarce asset long term, which seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? Speculation that Bitcoin may become a global reserve asset or strategic U.S. Treasury asset surged following the former President Trump's announcement of support for the digital asset industry amid mounting worldwide debt and monetary inflation. Trump's pick of J.D. Vance, the 39-year-old Bitcoin holder, as his running mate also fuels speculation that a future Trump administration could mean a new era for crypto, in which Bitcoin becomes fully integrated into the current financial system. Also, billionaire investor Mark Cuban also imagined a scenario in which widespread inflation and geopolitical instability drive the global population to Bitcoin as a haven to protect their life savings and purchasing power, elevating Bitcoin to the status of a global reserve currency organically. Data from high inflation countries like Argentina, Venezuela, and Turkey indicate this is already happening as populations shift to cryptocurrencies as a hedge against inflation. And yeah, Mark Cuban had a very long rant on why he is bullish on Bitcoin and why he believes it can become a world reserve currency and be adopted by the United States and countries around the world. And this is actually quite the contrast to where Mark Cuban a few years back was comparing Bitcoin to bananas and said Bitcoin had no real intrinsic value and he valued bananas more than Bitcoin. Well, he's made a complete 180. Go figure. And then we have Ari Paul of Block Tower Capital who disagrees. He believes the odds are only 10 to 1. He betting against Bitcoin becoming a strategic reserve for the United States in the next 4 years. The entrepreneur explained that the U.S. Strategic Reserve, a collection of assets held for use in case of national emergencies, may not be officially established, even if a future president announces that the U.S. would not sell his Bitcoin holdings. Now for the latest, this was just published by, I believe this was Forbes. This is international Forbes. This is pretty cool. Yep, this is Forbes International. They featured Max and Stacy, so I want to share this latest story as well. Stacy Herbert, shout out Stacy, who runs the Bitcoin office for President Bukele, emphasized the importance of branding and policy in establishing El Salvador as a Bitcoin-centric nation. El Salvador is Bitcoin country, and our office helps guard and maintain this brand. She said, highlighted the office's efforts in various domains, from education projects to foreign policy initiatives like opening Bitcoin embassies in Lugano, Switzerland, attracting investors such as Cathie Wood to establish businesses in El Salvador as also a key part of their mission. So shout out Cathie Wood. Max Keiser, the senior Bitcoin advisor of President Bukele, echoed Herbert's sentiment. We like to think of El Salvador and the brand, the Bitcoin country, as being synonymous, Keiser said. He underscored the administration's dedication to Bitcoin and its vision, ensuring that only projects aligned with Bukele's goals are pursued. Herbert elaborated on the broader implications of Bitcoin's principles, emphasizing its uncensorable nature and the sovereignty it provides. Bitcoin is sovereign money, sovereign wealth, and sovereignty, he asserted. He pointed out that unlike other cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin does not have a central authority or a marketing team, making it a true embodiment of independence. Both Herbert and Max believe that Bitcoin aligns perfectly with President Bukele's vision of true independence and peace for El Salvador. As global financial systems face increasing sanctions and instability, they argue that Bitcoin offers a resilient alternative. In this era, Bitcoin represents what it means to be independent, sovereign, and uncensorable, says Stacy. El Salvador's bold move to embrace Bitcoin continues to attract global attention, and with advocates like Herbert and Keiser at the helm, the nation's journey as Bitcoin pioneer looks promising. So there you have it, yo. And he also just shared this poll just recently. Max, I saw this on his profile. Let's see what it says. Trump's tone-deaf remarks on President Bukele in El Salvador, showing that he has not done his homework on Bitcoin, will have what impact on the likelihood he makes a U.S. Bitcoin reserve announcement in Nashville? The two options. Not going to happen. It'll for sure happen. So just to see the results, I'm going to vote here. And 75% of you say it's not going to happen. This was out of over 1,000 votes. And so there you have it, family. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think this week at the conference, keynote speaker Trump will make some form of an official announcement for the United States that if he is reelected as our POTUS of the United States of America, they will adopt Bitcoin some way, somehow, whether it's as a strategic reserve asset for the United States or whether they put the Bitcoin at the Treasury, like was also referenced here in the story? And do you think the implications of America adopting Bitcoin will send the King Crypto to $5 million per coin, as Max says? Let me know your thoughts. And again, he says we're going to 5 million with or without the United States. So let me know your thoughts. And welcome, family, to the Q&A segment of the live show.